What's up, EF? Almost September. I can't believe it. Summer went by so quick. But we've got a great selection of beers that I want to talk to you about going into September. We've got the return of Fruitless. We've got Funky Blender Grapefruit, the first time that we've ever released a beer we made with grapefruit. We've got Vanilla Leaner, our side project collaboration, but with peaches and vanilla. We've got Dry Hop Nectarine Funky Blender, and we've got Funky Blender Primitivo. So we've got some great selection of beers here. Let's dive into them. Up first, we've got Fruitless. This is the unfruited version of our side project collaboration. I don't think we've released one of these since 2020, maybe. And so this is the unadulterated, unfruited version of the beer that we do with side project. This was packaged back in February of this year, so it's got a nice age to it. It's super funky and rustic. It's been really fun to taste the progression of this beer in the bottle since we packaged it. And like I was saying, just super funk, almost like some of those really old saisons, like batch 3 saison that had some of that goozy characteristic to it. Even though it's got the side project cultures in there, medium acidity, definitely not too acidic at all, but super complex and drinkable. This was a single punch-in that we did, and this was aged for, was packaged at the end of our brewing with, or blending with side project stuff. So it's got a lot of age to it as well in the barrel as well as the bottle. So this is a fun one, nice and funky. Up next, we've got our first beer, like I said, that we did released with grapefruit. We tried grapefruit with Jester King and some spontaneous stuff several years ago. That didn't quite work out how we wanted. But over the winter, one of our growers in Hotchkiss was basically getting some grapefruit from a supplier, and they were wholesaling grapefruit in Colorado from a supplier in Arizona. So these are Arizona grapefruits. We chose Funky Blender because of the strong grapefruit character that we get from Funky Blender, the grapefruit notes that we naturally get. We wanted to pair that with the grapefruits that we use. So we just juiced the grapefruits and then fermented the beer on the grapefruit juice itself. So in the nose, you get like a hint of that when your thumbs dig into the grapefruit peel, a hint of that oil and that aromatic aspect of the grapefruit, which is one of my favorite things I love about that. And then in the taste, it's really just accentuated the grapefruit aspects that are in there. And so super dry, but grapefruity, but in proportion with the Funky Blender itself. So almost, maybe if you tried this blind, you might just think it was kind of had a little bit more grapefruit than normal. It's definitely not going to hit you over the head like grapefruit skull pin or something like that would, but it's really drinkable and a refreshing blend of Funky Blender. Pumped on this one. Next up, we've got Vanilla Leaner. So again, our whole Madagascar vanilla collaboration with Side Project and organic Colorado peaches. And this is just a fun one to do. It's just kind of up the ante with the whole Madagascar vanilla. We age that vanilla on the beer after it's been on peaches for about sometimes a month, just to get the maximum amount of of vanilla flavor that we can possibly get. It's like a peach candy, and it's barely acidic. It tastes sweet to me. The perceived sweetness that we're getting from that vanilla, I mean, it just makes it that much sweeter and more drinkable, even refreshing, with the massive amounts of organic Palisade peaches that we use in this. So this is just a fun, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like when we do our Supreme Clientele blends. It's just kind of over the top. It's just a fun thing to do that we're able to do because we're so small. We can make these small batches and make this. So this is a treat. Hopefully you'll enjoy this one if you like those vanilla blends. Up next, we've got Dry Hop Funky Blender with Nectarines. I think this might be the first non-preserved dry hop fruit beer that we've done. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but what I can remember, we normally do the preserved versions that are dry hop. With this one, we wanted to try a non-preserved version to get that not intense, but balanced dry hop character without the intense fruit. So kind of have it really be proportional to the intensity of the overall beer that we're looking for at a better price point as well. These were nectarines that we got from Palisade, Colorado last season that we had just been aging in our tanks over the winter. And this was packaged back in June, I believe, so a couple months ago. On the nose, it's just a really clean dry hop, complex flavor that's coming from those tropical dry hops that we used. And in the taste, it's more like what I said. Super complex, but lower intensity than when we do the preserve version. Very low acidity, but again, super complex. You get plenty of nectarine character, plenty of dry hop. There's no residual astringency from the dry hops in there. It's a really nice, drinkable beer that is what we set out to do when we started dry hopping these fruit beers. Add the citrusy and the complexity from the hops to accentuate the fruit without it being too hoppy. I think this one hit the nail on the head. Definitely gonna do more of these dry hopped, non-preserved fruited beers in the future, so look out for those. Last but not least, we've got our last grape beer from the 2020 harvest. So this is a very small batch with Primitivo grapes from Palisade, Colorado. We've just been holding on to it for the right month to release it. It's been tasting great for well over a year now. Primitivo grape, a nice red grape that we're getting from Palisade. Again, there was a frost in between the 2020 and 2021 harvests. A lot of the grapes were wiped out in Palisade, and so it sounds like we're gonna hopefully get a few more grapes this year, but so we can start to bring these back. But this is just a fun one. I'm kind of sad to see it leave the cellar. It's always been fun to sip with special guests that come to the cellar, so here we go. I mean, again, low acid. It's crazy how restrained our acidity is becoming. That's what I love about our beers. Sometimes they kind of, we've done some of those really acidic beers before, but we've really tended to move away from that. And so I'm hoping that everybody's liking that aspect to our beers. Delicate grapes, like I said, it's been aged almost 2 years now, and but just refreshing. The grapes provide like almost a sweetness on the finish, almost like a ghost note base beer. So we're pumped on these. We hope to see y'all soon. As you may know, Steve has left us, and so I will be the one fulfilling orders and doing all that work for you. So look out for some announcements with some slight changes of what we're going to do. We'll